All right, here at my lumber mill settlement, thought I would get some sleep and eat and heal up and all that good stuff. Get back to 100%. Spend a little longer in the nucleus than what I was comfortable with. Felt like I needed a shower leaving there. Although it was kind of necessary, we had to get in there and get Dima's memories. And sifting through them, we found a few points of interest. One in particular is some nuclear launch codes, which might help us solve a particular problem on the island. Apparently the conflict is a result primarily of the presence of the children of Adam. I was looking back at that. We even had some pretty good talks about it in the comments, some of the videos. I think the general consensus is that I had a preconceived bias or prejudice against them getting here, and there's got to be a little bit of truth to that, simply because my experience with them in the Commonwealth is that they were immediately hostile to any and all and everybody. All right, they are there with their special radiation guns, and they're going to share the glow with you whether you like it or not, from range and distance if necessary, right? That's all I've seen. Okay, but you know, those are just the extremists. They don't represent the actual children of Adam. I've heard this argument somewhere in real life before, but I won't get into that. But I did go to the nucleus, right, their base, with an open mind. Now, walking up the front door, I saw the whole gang thing they got. You know, if you're not fanatical enough, then you die at the hands of our own. Right? When we run out of other people to kill, we'll start killing each other. That's jihadist. Okay. You know, I get it. I saw that walking up, but maybe it was just that. Maybe it was just that one particular guy and just those two particular followers, and they had nothing to do with the rest of them. All right, so these people I saw in the Commonwealth have nothing to do with the children of Adam, and these children of Adam that I see at the front door have nothing to do with the children of Adam. I just don't understand, and I'm trying to judge them all by just a few and all this and that. So, okay, fine. I go in with an open mind. But I did have some key questions that would sum it up and clear it all up for me. And I am so grateful to this DLC. I'm ecstatically happy with it for giving me the opportunity to say through my character dialogue what I really wanted to say. And my primary question was, are you responsible for the fog? And that was a loaded question coming from me. It told me a lot. The answer to that would pretty much say it all. And it was this same thinking, and follow me here, all right? And I'll try to tell you what I was thinking. Is if I ask if they're responsible for the fog, if they say yes, all right, it means they represent that, all right? The fog and what it does. They're as fully aware of what the fog does here on the island as anyone else. Well, we know they essentially attribute it to the glow, some blessing of Adam or Adam himself or whatever, probably depending on who you talk to. I don't really care. Doesn't really matter. But the bottom line is they attribute it to Adam in some sense, but are they responsible for it? Do they claim it? And he said yes. Well, that pretty much was the icing on the cake. That, you know, because if I'm thinking, okay, if it smells like shit and looks like shit, and feels like shit and sits there on the pavement steaming, you know, on a winter morning like shit, then it's probably shit type of thing, right? But you go ahead and do the touch, sniff, taste test, right? Just to make sure type of thing. So I asked him, and that told me everything in this sense, is that in the world, let's say a bomb goes off in a small cafe, right? Where people are just minding their own business, just sipping their coffee. Or maybe some father takes his son out once a week and they're at their outing and he gets some, you know, ice cream or soda or something, right? And that's their thing. And they're literally just trying to just be. We're talking about just people, right? Doing their things. These are just about every time the victims of terrorists, because, I mean, they're not going to go for a military confrontation because they get their vajayjays kicked off, right? So they're not actually going to fight. Like, man, they never do. They're cowards, all right? Their thing is to commit terror that you don't know when, you don't know where, you just know it will, all right? And I see that falling into the agenda of these children of Adam also. You know, the glow is everywhere. You never know, right? But if a terrorist cell, if a known terrorist group, right, that the fact that they're known and they still exist says as much for our military and our authorities and the sensitivities of those who would not let the powers that be deal with this filth the way it needs to by being wiped out, being eradicated. There's no other answer for that. And they've crossed that line, right? Terror and stuff like that. When you deprive others of the right to live, you forfeit your rights. That's plain and simple, right? Anyone who doesn't agree with that, well, look at the results of not dealing with that in the one and only way you can deal with that. Locking them up doesn't do it. It just sucks off taxpayers' money and makes, the people that run prisons a lot of money. That's all that does, right? But it doesn't solve the problem. The only way to solve that problem is you take that out of the world like a cancer, and it doesn't infect other cells in the body. Then you don't eventually kill the body. Our body's dying, by the way. Newsflash, right? This shit isn't happening every week by accident. It's happening every week because we let it. That's the way it is, right? So anyway, if an act is committed where some people are blown the hell up, there always seems to be children involved. Like this last piece of shit, this pork-sucking, where he must be the result of a pig sleeping with his mother, piece of crap, rolls down the street in a truck and mows over children on vacation. If that offends, I'm really honestly not sorry. I'm not gonna take that back. This piece of crap does this. Whatever cell he belonged to, if a terrorist cell claims that act, takes credit for it, does it matter whether they did it or not? In other words, if you see this happen, if you see some man standing there and the only thing he's left holding in his hand is just the arm of his child because the rest of his child was blown up, he has to live with that for the rest of his life. His child has been deprived the right to live and actually contribute something worth something to society because this piece of filth did this death cult act of mindless, senseless bullshit, proving no point to anybody. What, you think I'm gonna want to follow what you do because you do shit like this? Asshole, you're lucky I'm not there with a gun. Because the right thing would just have to happen there. And maybe some people would not be dead now that shouldn't have had to be if you didn't exist. But since you exist, everyone else has to pay for that, as long as you're allowed to exist. And there's laws in place that support the continued existence of this filth. Okay, so you see the thinking here. If you claim or take credit for an act like that, it basically doesn't matter whether you even did it or not, honestly, because you're representing that, you're doing that, you're letting me know that you're all about that. It's not what you do, it's what you are. And there's a difference there, all right? And so when they claim the fog, all right, now this goes even deeper than that. It's not just the fact that this high confessor here in the nucleus, that's the title he gave himself so he could be religiously important, I guess. He not only claimed the glow, but if you look at it, he also explained something else, which even clarified it even more for me. Not that I needed it, but fine. Is he said that a lot of their members were made up of trappers, right, on the island. Well, we know what the trappers are about, right? And to give them a religious excuse to exercise their bloodlust, not like they need one. They don't seem to have any qualms about killing you and probably eating you. That's just their thing. The raiders with an appetite, essentially. No different. Okay, they're the island version of raiders. They're just gone a little over mad with the fog. Okay, well, that's a result, once again, of the fog. And knowing this, you still take credit and claim the fog and say that it is a blessing of your God. So I look at, well, what does this fog do? Besides killing, maiming, making sick, driving people mad, and producing things in the environment, in the world, that come out and are immediately hostile and excessively dangerous to all life. You know, these gulpers and these freaking hermit crabs carrying trucks around on their back, which are actually pretty cool, but I mean, I'm just saying, right? And so I'm like, the results of the fog are this, and you claim this is the blessing of your quote-unquote God. Why could some of these things leave you alone? Well, if a gulper leaves you alone, that says a lot about you. Because y'all are seeing eye to eye. A Mirelurk Queen is not spitting at you, she's spitting at me. Because y'all are good? Oh, okay, Dick. Okay, as soon as I'm done with this Mirelurk Queen, guess who gets it next? Because I see where you're at, right? Yeah, you can judge somebody by their friends, sure. Absolutely, the company they keep. Absolutely. There's a lot of sense to that, actually. And so, anyway, so if Mirelurk Queens are keeping company with the, or in ghouls, right, or keeping company with these children of Adams, like, you know, they're best buds for life, well, that says a lot to me. But anyway, all right, so they not only take credit for this stuff, but let's look at this. The bulk of the children of Adam that aren't made up of ex-trappers, right, okay, all right, so that says a lot, are also made up of people who left Far Harbor, because apparently these high confessors, one of them is gone now, probably killed by his buddy, the guy that I was talking to. Don't really care. I don't care about their inner office backroom politics. It's irrelevant to me, because nothing they do is of any importance. All they do is hurt, maim, kill, destroy. That's all they're about. And worshiping suffering and death. They can wow, they can just piss off in about every different language, honestly. But regardless of what happened amongst themselves, initially the original children here on the island arrived from the mainland, came here, walked up into Far Harbor, found some radiation here and said, oh, this must be the will of Adam, and anyone who doesn't agree with that needs to die. All right, so come with us, and we're going to go find a place till we can get strong enough or find some means to kill everybody, and then we'll all be good. And so these settlers, some of them were quote-unquote converted and left. So you're telling me this. So the bulk of believers amongst the children of Adam that I see here that aren't made up of trappers, which are half mad and looking for an excuse to fulfill their friggin' bloodlust anyway, all right, are made up of ex-settlers here and people who were, you know, refugees and stuff in Far Harbor and stuff like that. So they've seen what the fog has done to their family and their friends and loved ones, possibly going back generations here on the island, and they think that it is a good idea to worship that. Do I really need to go any further? So, what I've done is I haven't lumped all of the children of Adam together based on the actions of a few. I'm looking at the whole, and I'm looking at the actions of the whole, and I'm looking what the whole support, and I'm looking where they came from. And so I find out through questioning and with an open mind exactly what their agenda is, and they are all about killing off the last of the innocent people there in Far Harbor that have been pushed to the edge of the island. The island won't be completely blessed by Adam until they're completely free of it. Then they're all going to, I guess, blow themselves the fuck up or something. I don't care. Let's just not give them that chance. How about we give these people their homes back, eradicate this island of these children of Adam, and then guess what? The children of Adam aren't a problem anymore. All right, now this was pointed out to me. It was a bit of a spoiler, but to be fair, that's fine. It was in the middle of a discussion, not firing any shots at this. That's okay. But I was told that there is possibly a peace option, and I'll just leave it at that, right? Any peace you make with fanatics, with bloodlust, right, is going to result in future hostilities. In other words, this is not a lasting peace. This is being a coward and avoiding confronting something that needs to be eradicated. All right? That's cowardice. That's not peace. All right? Peace is where both parties have no ill will against the other. All right? You can't get that from these children of Adam. Like I say, those that aren't made up of trappers that are already batshit crazy, right? Crazier than, what would the mariner call them? A bag full of rad roaches, right? Or whatever. Are made up of settlers who saw what the fog did and thought that it was somehow a good idea to worship that as a god or as a blessing of a god. Or, you know what? I don't even care. Doesn't matter. They thought that was a good idea regardless. And so I'm like, wow, okay. That pretty much says it all. So there you have the bulk of the believers with Adam. If there is an exception or two caught up in the mix, they need to get the hell up out of there, right? Because they're going to go with the rest of them. Because they made that decision. You know, it's when you pick a side, accept the what would you say, the judgments that are passed down on that side, right? If you've got two teams on the field and you choose the losing team, right, you don't get to win too. Guess what? You lose with that team also. All right, well, I'm going to be the ball boy with the Patriots. Then at halftime, no, I think I'm going to go ahead and be the ball boy for the Giants instead. Doesn't work that way. Doesn't work that way. Take that loss, right? And so there are decisions made in life that have... Trying to avoid all consequences is the same thing as trying to make peace with these abominations here. Sorry, it doesn't work. It's not real. It's pink unicorns farting kittens, shitting out pixie dust, traveling over that rainbow into La La Land. It doesn't exist. That is not peace. But I called it peace, so therefore it is. No, that's you putting labels on things that aren't. That's pipe dreams, fantasy land. Way too much dope. Way too much dope in the morning coffee. Stop and think about it. So anyway, I did, with an open mind, listen and see and hear. I mean, in the back of my mind, I already kind of knew, because there has to be a villain, right? It's an RPG. It's a game, all right? But to be fair, sometimes the really good writers can kind of villainize the good guys and give some redeeming qualities to the bad guys to make the moral line between good and evil, so to speak, a little more of a gray area, right? And that would, on the surface, kind of be like that here. But then when you look underneath, you find out the real sinister underlying thing. Now, what is a bit more of a gray area is Dima. Dima, who came up, he basically sided with the children of Adam initially for personal reasons, is maybe the last confessor was a little more secretive about his hostility. He wasn't outwardly hostile, right? And he tended to favor Dima and accept him to an extent. Like, he was down with the, well, you know, if you want to be your own person, be your own person. That's cool. But it's, you know, we're all part of the children of Adam and this and that. But then seeing what they were willing to do to those people still left in Far Harbor, then I guess his conscience got the better of him. To be fair, those memories of the things that Dima did, he did put them out of his own reach, right? But then he also wants us to go retrieve them. So, you know, of course, them being his memories, he wouldn't exactly remember what we're going to retrieve because, well, those are his memories of his memories. So, you know, I've got to say he at least had a pang of conscience in whatever capacity a synth is capable of doing. So I believe in the Fallout universe just as capable of having conscience as a person, because synths are people. In the Fallout universe, as opposed to AI in like the Mass Effect universe, where the intelligence is man-made. Here, the intelligence is transferred from a person over to a machine. The only difference between a synth and a person is the body they're in, being metal and plastic instead of flesh and bone. That essentially is the only difference that I see here. And anything else that can be manipulated or altered in the name of science. Well, it's essentially scientists' best effort at improving on humanity, which is the Institute's whole motive, to replace everything, even animals, even the grass and plants if they could. And they are actively replacing not just plant life and working on replacing animals, but also people. They're playing God. That was essentially the whole moral of the Institute storyline here in the game, with a little bit of investigation. So anyway, all that to say is not coming in blind and not coming in completely prejudiced and pre-biased. Knowing kind of in the back of my head, you know, what it probably was. Also being willing to be surprised and being willing to be educated. In other words, okay, prove me wrong. But I got to ask, I was allowed to ask through my main character the key questions that would tell me everything. Right? Investigative mind would uncover a truth and accept that truth whether you like it or not type of thing. Find out the children of Adam are really the ones being wronged here and the people on the island are really the ones out of place. Well, it's a different balls. It's a whole different story. But this essentially allows you to take the side of Caesar in New Vegas, right? Take the side of the children of Adam here and be a fanatic and go off on some la-la beliefs and be all, you know, self-martyr about it at the expense of everyone else. And fuck it, we're all dying anyway, so I don't really care. And you know what? Not doing this requires too much thought, so I'm just going to kind of do this. Well, probably a little bit like the followers of the children of Adam. Maybe, to some extent. Regardless. Having seen what the fog can do and then choosing to worship it, and then claiming responsibility for the fog. Like I say, if you see an atrocity committed, a bomb go off and it kills some children and stuff, and you see the devastation that it has on society at large, creating terror where there shouldn't be any, and then you claim that, in my opinion, I don't care whether you actually did it or not. The bottom line is you're claiming it and you're telling me that's what I'm about. Okay, well, thanks for the warning. Boom. Shot to the head. Problem solved. Sorry, may sound brutal, but this is war. You know, this is war we're talking about here. Alright, so I guess I'll go back to the old D-Rad and eat and sleep and rest and get back to 100% and all that good stuff. Go ahead and use my fancy little shower here. Decontamination arch. Another little nifty thing that they gave us. One of the viewers, Justin, was telling me about these and decided to finally make one, and it's just it's a godsend. It's a lovely thing to have. Get rid of all your rads without a doctor. All right, we'll go look for some other key points of interest in the next one. If you want to subscribe, click that button up top. If you want to catch the rest of this playthrough, you can click that image in the middle. It should send you straight to the playlist. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.